Hello everyone and welcome along to our course information session on postgraduate IT. Thanks so much for coming along tonight. We've got a nice turnout to hear about our courses here at Sturt University. Pardon me. So a few housekeeping rules before we start. If you do have any questions tonight, please type them into the questions box which is available in the GoTo console. So we have some helpers tonight in the background answering questions, whether they're academic style questions or more administrative questions. So please, if you do have any questions, just type those in and my trusty helpers will help supply an answer. If we don't have the answer tonight, we'll take it on notice and we'll get back to you very soon with what we hope is a resolution. So a few housekeeping rules besides that. There will be a recording available, so hopefully we're recording now, and we'll make that available to you via email. And as we go through tonight, we're going to have a bit of a whirlwind tour in terms of the courses that we offer at postgraduate level. Don't worry so much about trying to take notes, because we will send you out all of the links to the courses in a subsequent email. So just sit back, enjoy, take it in, ask questions freely, and we'll follow up with an email with some further information. So my name is Jason Howarth. I'm a course director here at CSU, as we call ourselves. So that's a picture of me. I'm responsible for the management and coordination of all the IT courses at Sturt University. So everything from quality control to coordinating the design of courses to liaising with industry to make sure that our courses are industry relevant, and also to promote the courses in events like this. Also deal with students on a regular basis throughout their enrolment. So if you do enroll at CSU in one of our courses, you'll probably have a reasonable amount to do with me as you progress through your program. One of my favourite jobs, of course, is reading out names as people graduate. So hopefully one day from this early stage you'll be up there on stage and I can also read out your name. So just a little bit of history of CSU. As a university, it was started in 1989. Before that, it was a collection of individual teachers' colleges. We came together in 1989. It's a very dispersed university. We have campuses, and you can see some of the photos there on the screen, in various regional locations, including Wagga, Albury, Bathurst and Port Macquarie. We also have an international presence. So we have operations or relationships in Hong Kong, Canada and China. So it's a really big university and a very dispersed university. Our specialisation is really distance education, or online education is perhaps a more modern word for it. And we're going to see in a moment our statistical profile and look at some of the numbers and where our students are located in terms of on campus or remotely. So as a DE student, you can see that we do have a physical presence, even though it's not necessary for you to step onto our campuses. We also always do like to see our students, and you're very welcome, if you do enrol DE, to use the facilities on our campuses, our library, our sporting facilities, our support services. So keep that in mind if you do decide to enrol, that even though you might be a remote student, there's no need to be remote in terms of the relationship. So the CSU statistical profile, and this is a snapshot from 2013, just to give you a bit of an idea before we move into our courses of how big an organisation CSU is and the sorts of students we attract. So 2013 we had over 39,000 students enrolled in our courses. 24,194 of those were distance education students. So a huge DE contingent there. You can see that's our main market, our main focus. We had around about 10,000 on-campus students, and before you remind me that 24,000 plus 10 doesn't equal 39, the rest of the students are what's called mixed mode. So students enrolling a little bit on campus and a little bit by distance education. So they account for the remaining of those 39,000 students. So in terms of higher degree coursework programs, and that's what we're talking about tonight, we're talking about master's programs that are done by coursework, not by research. So in 2013 we had over 7,000 students enrolled in higher degree coursework programs across the university. So not just IT, that might be everything from business to nursing to education. Okay, so the whole gamut. In 2013 we had over 8,000 students complete our courses, so they're effectively graduating from our courses in 2013, and CSU employs 941 academic staff. That gives you a sense of the size of Charles Sturt University. Let's look more specifically at why you would choose to study IT at CSU, in particular postgraduate IT. And to me, the three main elements are that our programs are industry focused, that we have an excellent record and indeed are the leaders in postgraduate IT, and we're the leaders in online within Australia. So in terms of industry focus, we have strong alignment with industry in our courses, and what you'll see as we move through some of our course content, this is really the case when we look at how we use industry certification content within our courses themselves. So a highly relevant link there between industry certification and our IT postgraduate programs. So just following on from that, the industry focus and some of the certifications that we feature within our course in terms of the curriculum, from these certifications. So everyone's heard of Cisco, so we have a subject within our master's programs that uses content from the Cisco CCNA. Effectively, you're prepared for the Cisco CCNA certification, and if you choose to go out and do that, sit that certification, then it won't be too big a step for you once you complete our subject that's based on the CCNA curriculum. Other certifications there, and some you may not be familiar with, are from EC Council. So we have a subject that deals with ethical hacking and is based on the ethical hacking content from EC Council. GIAC, we have a subject that's based on the Certified Incident Handler from GIAC. ISC Squared, we have a subject based on the CISSP Common Body of Knowledge. We have a subject based on the ITIL Expert level. Microsoft Server 2012. We have numerous subjects based on content from the Project Management Institute. So you can see a strong link between industry certification and what we're offering in our subjects. A subsidiary benefit of that is that when you do these subjects with us, you should be well prepared to go out and actually sit those industry certifications. Flip side benefit is that if you hold those industry certifications already, then you can potentially get credit for those into our courses. I've also listed down the bottom there capstone subjects. So every master's degree that we offer has a capstone subject. It's a project subject that allows you at the end of your course to really show what you've learned. And that might be in the form of some sort of research project. It might be in the form of some sort of more physical project, maybe a software development project. But the idea of the capstone is that you're really taking what you've learned and trying to apply that to a strongly practical situation. Okay, so for these reasons, CSU and these courses have a strong industry focus. So I want to talk about CSU and IT Masters because in many ways it goes to the heart of the courses we're talking about tonight, this relationship. So CSU and IT Masters formed a partnership 12 years ago, and that partnership was to deliver IT postgraduate programs, in particular master's programs, that were strongly industry relevant in the ways I've already described, that have academic content, but also which have IT industry certification content embedded within the overall master's structure, making them really, really relevant to IT practitioners. So the way the partnership is structured is that for the IT Masters courses that we're talking about tonight, which is pretty much all of them, they're divided into 6 academic subjects and 6 industry subjects, so 12 subjects in total. the industry subjects are taught by industry professionals through IT Masters. So we're talking about people who are real project managers, real mobile application designers, real network administrators. So those industry subjects in our programs are taught by industry professionals alongside the academic subjects which are taught by university staff. Okay, so a lovely mixture there of the academic and the industry. IT Masters are also responsible for marketing our IT programs. They do a great job of that, and no doubt many of you have heard through IT Masters of what we're offering here at CSU. So that's the CSU IT Masters relationship. It's a symbiotic relationship. It's a really powerful one. It's been going for 12 years, and we'll look a little more closely at how that industry and academic synergy works in the various courses. One of the things we've been able to do through this relationship is move to market leadership. And I'm actually a slide ahead of myself, so we're talking here about distance education. So here we're talking about market leadership of IT postgraduate courses. So Charles Sturt University, in terms of the number of students enrolled in IT postgraduate courses, that's a snapshot taken in 2013 compared to other universities in the sector. You can see we're a long way ahead of competitors like UTS, Victoria, RMIT and so on. Now about 12 years ago we were considerably down the list. Okay, so through our industry focused degrees the market has voted with its feet, and we've moved from being perhaps not even on the screen 12 years ago to being the leader in IT postgraduate. Okay, so you don't get to be there unless you're doing something right. Distance education was the other thing I wanted to point out in terms of our market leadership. Once again, CSU is well out in front in the sector. You can see there sort of 23,000 students, a snapshot of 2013 compared to other players in the sector. We're the major player in the Australian education market when it comes to distance education. So the courses I'm going to talk about tonight are offered by distance education. That's the way they're studied. They are postgraduate IT, and hence the focus on those two elements. So just to give a rundown of the master's courses that we have at CSU and to broadly separate them according to technical and more management oriented. So on the left hand side you can see that we have our what I call strongly technical courses. Okay, they're pretty much straight IT. There might be a few additional subjects and topics taught within like communications, like ethics, but largely straight IT. So Master of Information Technology, which is a very generalist IT course. It's the only non-IT master's course here that I'm speaking about tonight. So all of these courses, I should add, are 12 subject masters. They're all offered part-time by distance education. They're not offered on campus here at our main campuses at CSU. So they're all meant to be delivered online part-time. So the Master of Information Technology, a strongly generalist degree, but which also does allow you to specialise in various areas such as software development, networking, business analysis, security, or even to take a smattering of different subjects across those areas. Okay, we'll look more closely at the content in a moment. Going down the list, the Master of Information Systems Security, as the name suggests, strongly focused on the IT security discipline. Okay, so a lot of stuff there on hacking, on securing computer networks, on security policies, on security protocols. Master of Networking and Systems Administration, once again kind of self-explanatory, a big focus on computer networking protocols, servers, server administration, a little bit there on security as well, because there's obviously a lot of overlap between security and networking. And once again, that's a 12 subject masters. Finally, on the strongly technical side, we have a master's that I've called pending, because it doesn't actually unveil itself until next year, and it has to go through the official approval process. But pretty excited about it, and I do want to at least flag it with you. The Master of Mobile Applications Development It's due, all going well, to be unveiled for session 1 next year, and it's all about producing or enabling students to produce quality cross-platform applications for iOS, Android and Windows Phone. And a lot of interesting subjects in that I'll talk about in a moment. So there are strongly technical courses. The management-oriented programs still typically have an IT flavour, but they have a strong management flavour as well, and often more targeted at people who are wanting to move out of a technical role into a management role, whether it be middle management or executive management in the IT industry. So we have the Master of Project Management. It's unique in this series in that you don't need to be an IT guy to do that course. It's applicable for all project managers. Okay, so there's no necessity there to sort of say that I have to come from an IT background. Okay, so the Master of Project Management, the Master of Management Information Technology, which is a nice combination between management subjects, looking at things such as finance, marketing, human resource management, management theory, but also allowing you to take specialist IT subjects from a broad range of areas. And finally, the Master of Business Administration Computing, which in many ways is kind of the capstone of the management degrees, is a management course designed for people either ready or aspiring to move to executive level management within the IT industry. So a lot of strategy subjects there, leadership subjects, communication subjects, IT service quality subjects. Okay, we'll look a little more closely at the subjects that we offer in that course soon, but the big focus is sort of executive level management with a smattering of IT. Okay, the qualification hierarchy. So when we talk about postgraduate IT, not everyone's au fait with what postgraduate is even and how it fits into the overall educational hierarchy. So to give you a quick primer, at the bottom of the hierarchy, if you like, is the undergraduate degree, the bachelor's degree. That's followed by what we call the graduate certificate and the graduate diploma. So those graduate certificates and diplomas are in fact still postgraduate IT, but they're slightly at a lower level than a master's and typically consists of less subjects. Then comes our masters. All the masters I'm talking about tonight are 12 subject masters offered by DE. They're all coursework masters rather than research masters. And finally, at the top of the scale is your doctorate. So they're your research degrees, PhDs, professional doctorate. When you graduate from those, you can call yourself a doctor. Typically more for people who've done a master's and who want to either go into an academic pathway or a research-oriented pathway within the industry. Okay, so we won't be worrying too much about the doctorate tonight. We're going to be talking about the master's and the graduate certificate and the graduate diploma. And why I've placed emphasis there on the grad cert and the graduate diploma is because we'll see that for people who don't have a bachelor's degree, who don't have an undergraduate degree, but who have professional experience within the IT industry, then it's possible to get enrolment into a grad cert and a graduate diploma, and from there to move into your master's. So if you don't have an undergraduate degree, if you've missed that step in the hierarchy, and it's not uncommon for people to have moved into the IT industry without getting the undergraduate degree, on the basis of your professional experience, there is the option of getting into a master's via a graduate certificate or graduate diploma pathway. Okay, so there's a little bit there about pathways. So clearly people can come from different pathways into our masters. Some of you may have an undergraduate degree in a related discipline. So you might have a Bachelor of Computer Science or a Bachelor of IT. Okay, so for those people, I would be recommending an IT Masters program. Okay, IT Masters, a specialist program that allows you to take the undergraduate skills that you've got and then to focus in a particular specialist area. The middle box there, an undergraduate degree in an unrelated discipline. So you might be coming, I had a student the other day phone me, he had a Bachelor of Arts degree and was wanting to move into the IT area. typically I would recommend for people coming from that background to go into our Master of Information Technology, our generalist degree, which allows you a broad overview of the entire discipline without getting too specialised. And the final pathway is the professional experience pathway. You may have that alongside an undergraduate degree, or it may be standalone, but typically people with professional experience, the recommendation is that as long as they're happy in their job, that they go into the master's program where they're currently working, okay, where they have the professional experience. Now there's obviously exceptions to all of this. You might want to jump to different areas, jump to different specialisations, but as a broad piece of advice, they're the different pathways and the broad recommendations in terms of the master's degrees that might suit you. Okay, so we've got a few master's degrees, so it is going to be a little bit of a whirlwind tour. Don't bother so much about taking notes. At the bottom of each screen I've got the words Google it, so you can certainly Google these degrees if you want after the presentation, but we'll also send you out an email with links to what's called the handbooks to all of these courses, where you can see the full details of every subject. You can click on the subjects, you can see what's contained in them, and you can look in more depth at the individual eligibility requirements for each of the courses. So that's coming in an email, or you can do that via Google, but what we're going to do tonight is just give you a broad overview, a broad brush approach without going into enormous depth in each course. And there's always the questions box if you have any more focused questions that you need answered. So the Master of Information Systems Security, a 12-subject master's, 2 years part-time is the standard rate of completion. It really is a course that is about how you combat threats that endanger information systems resources. So some of the subjects there that we have in that course that I think are of interest are digital forensics. Okay, so all about digital crime, about using e-discovery tools, about evidence collection and preservation. Okay, so fairly big emphasis in this course on the digital forensics and the legal side of information security. So cyber law is clearly one dealing with the legal implications or the legal aspects of information system security. So that subject deals with how to conduct investigations, information about intellectual property law, trade law, e-commerce law. Once again, taking the view that being a security professional is not just about being proficient with hardware. If you're going to track security crime, track computer crime, you may need one day to appear in court. You may need to be handling evidence. So you need to be fully au fait with the key aspects of cyber law. Incident response is another subject in that course. That subject's interesting. It's based on the GIAC Certified Incident Handler industry certification, looking at things such as computer attack vectors, platform and device specific attacks, and incident handling processes. So very much you can see the theme emerging there about computer crime, responding to it, handling the evidence appropriately. The other subject that is listed there, emerging technologies and innovation, that's your capstone subject. That's the subject that you do at the end of the course, and it gives you a little bit of leeway to choose basically what interests you. You might choose to research the latest cryptographic protocols. You might have a great idea for a cryptographic algorithm to replace AES or something. So within that capstone subject, it does allow you to propose a project yourself in an area of interest that's related to information system security. Okay, so just quickly in that course, other topic areas that we cover, hacking countermeasures, security policy obviously, network security protocols, so a lot of stuff there on Kerberos, cryptographic protocols is covered. There's a subject that deals with or based upon the CISSP common body of knowledge. So a really strong course in that area of security, a lot of industry certifications that are incorporated into the content of that course. The next jewel in the crown, the Master of Networking and Systems Administration. Once again, a 12-subject course, 2 years part-time, all about the design, implementation and management of computer networks. Okay, so some of the subjects there include TCP/IP. So you're looking at stuff like the TCP/IP architecture, IP routing, internet layers and protocols. You're looking at IP version 6, of course, the whole gamut of the TCP/IP protocol suite. And there's a lot there to study, believe me. So that's a fascinating topic. It sort of starts you off on the journey of this course before you start to get into more technically specific subjects such as hacking countermeasures. Hacking countermeasures is a subject based on one of the industry certifications, the EC Council industry certification. We also have a subject there on server administration, and that's based on the Windows Server 2012 certification. So you're looking at stuff in that subject like Active Directory, group policy, network deployment. So highly industry specific. And another subject I've highlighted there is virtualization. That one's based on the VMware Certified Professional Credential. Okay, so another good aspect, as I mentioned, if you do have those credentials, if you are VMware certified, professionally certified, or if you do have Windows Server 2012 certification, then you can get credit into the course. Other subjects that we have in that course include wireless networking, cloud computing. We have a subject dealing with Exchange server management and IT service management. Okay, so once again, once we send you the link, you can have a look at that course in a little bit more detail. That moves us now to our Master of Mobile Applications Development. This is pending. I've mentioned that it's pending, so it's not something you can enroll in today, but I do expect there to be an announcement within the next few weeks. So this course is likely to kick off from session 1 next year. It's all about programming cross-platform mobile apps using the latest industry technologies such as Xamarin and PhoneGap and also Unity. Okay, so some of the subjects that are proposed for this course: principles of programming using C#. So if you're not coming from a really strong programming background, that's okay. You can enter the course. You'll learn about the object-oriented paradigm, how to code in C#. If you are coming from a strong programming background, you can skip that subject. We can arrange you to take a different subject instead of that one. Okay, so once you get your handle on the OO concepts, we'll then be starting to move in this course into the different platforms, into the cross-platform tools such as Xamarin and PhoneGap, to be able to program and deploy apps for iOS, Android and Windows Phone. Also going to be some emphasis on game development. So using the Unity game creation engine to program mobile games. And we go right through the theory of gaming, of designing different gaming levels, of 2D and 3D sprite design, of artificial intelligence, everything you need to know to use Unity effectively to design games for the mobile platform. Some other really interesting subjects in that course. There's one on marketing, and we are hoping that we want students to be able to look at the gaps in the mobile app industry and to be able to essentially do a market audit and to be able to identify where the niches still are. What are the prospects for you to go out and build an app that's actually going to make money. Okay, so we have got a marketing subject as well. The final subject in that course, once again, is a capstone. The idea there is that you'll take all that you've learned, build a fairly substantial mobile app which you can then choose to commercialize if you want once you leave the course. Okay, so that's our Master of Mobile Applications Development coming soon. So moving to our management-oriented masters, we have the Master of Project Management. So all about designing, managing and delivering project solutions. So you don't need to be an IT aficionado to enroll in this one. It's generic enough to suit all project management contexts. It's got a lot of stuff there from Agile, from the Project Management Institute and from other official bodies. Some of the subjects that we've included in that 12-subject course include the project lifecycle. That's based on the Prince 2 certification. Okay, so if you've got Prince 2, potentially we could be looking for a credit for that subject. Another subject based on the Agile methodology, which looks at the Agile principles, the Agile model, basically looking at the Agile method and how it's used or adapted for use in projects. Another subject dealing with forecasting and risk management, looking at stuff such as risk measure and modelling. Obviously a lot of risk associated with projects. You need to do due diligence. You need to try and remove or at least prepare for risks as best you can. So a lot of stuff there on qualitative and quantitative approaches to risk management. Finally, in the list there, program and portfolio management, and that's based on the PMI Project Management Professional Certification. So you can see again the strong link that we have between the content in these courses and the industry body certifications. Okay, so moving now to what I call our middle management course, the Master of Management Information Technology. People in IT might have been there for a while. Maybe they're getting renewed responsibilities. They're moving or seeking to move to a middle management position. This is the sort of course that will help facilitate that. So a nice mixture of management subjects and IT-specific subjects. Some of the subjects that you'll do in that course include human resource management. So looking at stuff such as managing diversity, recruitment, selection, human resource management and resource planning. We have other subjects dealing with marketing, finance, organisational change, strategic practice. The one at the top there, IT service quality management, is basically centred on the ISO 20000 standard. Okay, so it's looking at service management capabilities of an organisation and allowing students to do a gap analysis and prepare a plan showing how an organisation would attain compliance to the ISO certification or standard. So there's some of the management subjects that you would do. The beauty of this course is that it's divided as well into various industry specialisations. So you can choose to study security, networking or project management. So we saw in the earlier slides some of the subjects you might do in security, such as ethical hacking, for example, or forensics or virtualization. So within this course you can choose one of those specializations for your IT strand. Okay, and the Master of Business Administration Computing, really aimed at people seeking or aspiring to move to executive level management. I guess I'm aspiring to do that, but I suppose aspiring and doing it's two different things, but this course will help you achieve your goal, and you're really looking at the key sort of executive management issues such as finance, strategy, marketing, human resources. You can see there we've got subjects dealing with IT governance, professional communications, a fascinating subject. Professional communications is actually a core subject in all of our IT Masters courses. And the reason we make it so is because communication is such an essential element in achieving workplace success. So the subject there deals with communicating written form, orally, giving presentations, using social media, using different communications technologies, addressing different audiences. So clearly important everywhere, but absolutely paramount if you're sort of looking to be an executive manager. Forecasting and risk assessment and also strategic management are other key subjects within the MBA computing course. So less emphasis there on the IT specific subjects in this course. It's much more management. There is a bit of crossover such as IT governance, but it's strongly management oriented. Okay, and then we come to our what we call our generalist course, which is our Master of Information Technology. Once again, a 12 subject masters, and really it's a course that anyone can do and anyone would benefit from, but I personally think it's best for people who are maybe coming from a non-IT background, or someone wanting a very generalist overview of the entire industry without wanting to specialise in one area. So the Master of IT does allow you to take subjects from disparate areas. You can do data mining subjects, you can do programming in Java, you can do security policy subjects, you can do systems analysis, you can do Python programming, you can do cloud computing, you can do virtualization, you can do subjects that are more aligned to the computer science end of the spectrum, such as computer organization and architecture. So a really broad choice there of subjects. There's a couple of core subjects, but you can specialize or you can choose to go across the specializations. Okay, so one thing I want to talk about before we go further and start talking about eligibility and how you sort of move in a pathway if you're coming from a graduate certificate to a master's is this idea of nested awards. Sometimes in university speak they're called articulated sets. Now I'm going to take my very unneat handwriting and do some scribbling. So the way nested awards work, and all of the courses that I've mentioned are structured in some way in a nested arrangement. So for all of the courses that I've mentioned, there is a graduate certificate option, okay, as well as a master's option. So the graduate certificate is nested within the master's, so that if you come along and instead of entering directly into the master's, you decide to enter into the grad cert, you can then basically move on to the master's and take all those subjects that you've done in the graduate certificate as credit with you. No questions asked. Okay, so that's the benefit of doing those nested programs. Same with the graduate diploma. Now, why would you want to do that, you might ask? There's two reasons, I think. One is some people don't want to fully commit to doing a master's at the outset. They want to put their toe in the water. They want to test how they're going to cope with full-time study or part-time study, how it's going to interfere or not interfere with their work and personal life. So they like to do a graduate certificate first as a taster. So there's no disadvantage in doing it that way. In fact, in some ways it's not bad because you can graduate with a grad cert, a graduate certificate, you can move on to a master's and then graduate with that as well. So you get 2 awards and you lose no subjects. So you do 4 subjects in your graduate certificate, you move on to the associated master's, you've got 8 subjects left to do for the master's. The next reason people might want to do that, or might be in a way forced to do that, if they want to do a master's pathway but they don't have an undergraduate degree. So if you're one of those people, we would actually put you into a graduate certificate based on your industry experience. So you get put into a graduate certificate, you do the 4 subjects, but again, no disadvantage, you can move straight to the master's, get credit for all the 4 subjects that you've done. Okay, so a great way to move to your master's from a non-academic background but having professional experience. Okay, so I'm just going to change my little icon, my little pen. So there you can see that a big listing of courses and the related graduate certificate masters. And probably too much to read. I've violated the good rules of slide design there by trying to put too much on. But if I just highlight one of them, so the graduate certificate in information technology leads naturally to the Master of Information Technology. So you enroll in the grad cert, you just move straight to the masters and you take all the subjects with you as credit. And likewise for all of them, you'll see their name in a similar fashion. So the graduate certificate in networking leads directly to the Master of Networking. The only potential difficulty with credit that you need to keep in mind is when you jump from one grad cert area to another. So say you start out in the grad cert in networking and you decide, look, that's not quite for you, I want to move to the Master of Project Management. From an eligibility perspective, that's fine, but from a credit perspective, we need to make sure that all the subjects you did in the grad cert in networking are also applicable in the Master of Project Management. Okay, so just keep that in mind if you are thinking of jumping across disciplines from a grad cert to a different master's. Okay, let's have a breather. I need a breather. I'm just going to erase all my drawings. I see there's some questions coming in. Please don't hesitate to type questions in the chat window. We've got Sandra and the industrious Neil McCosh working in the background answering all your questions. So please keep them coming. And once again, if we can't answer them tonight, please send us an email. If you have a question, don't die wondering. Please send us an email, get in touch, and only too happy to try and resolve them. Okay, so what's studying by distance like? Some of you might have an idea. I know that in the 80s, I think I was a correspondence student, and I used to get my little package of printed materials, and I used to diligently do my assignments, and I used to put them in an envelope and put a stamp on them and send them back, and in about 3 months I used to get marks back and I'd realise I was on track. Clearly that's all gone. Very much technology supported distance learning at CSU these days. To give you a broad picture, when you enrol in one of our master's courses, for every subject that you enrol in, you'll be given an online learning and teaching environment, which we here at CSU called Interact. So you get a login to your Interact environment, and that environment has all the information that you need to work with that subject. So you'll find your subject outline there, all the assessments that you need to complete. You'll also find lots of subsidiary resources such as podcasts from the lecturer. There might be modules, links, photos, PDF documents. Typically and increasingly what we're doing in all of our postgraduate IT courses is we're doing weekly webinars. So like this one, you go into, enroll into your online subject, and for the most part, I can't say categorically because different lecturers have different approaches, but for most subjects, what happens is you get a weekly webinar like this, hopefully more content based than this, but you sit in your chair after your day's work, you log in maybe 7:30, 8:30 at night, other students from your class will be there, your lecturer will deliver an online presentation, there might be discussion there between the lecturer and students, and that's a really good way to interface with your lecturer and to simulate the traditional lecture and tutorial environment. Lots of other communication tools in these Interact settings, including forums and blogs, wikis. As I say, different lecturers use different tools, but it is highly interactive. The whole thing can be transacted digitally, so assignment submission is all online. Study materials, as I mentioned, online. CSU has a burgeoning number of e-books and e-journals that we subscribe to. So we have a Safari, for example, an IT Safari subscription where you can get access to a lot of IT books, as well as a lot of e-journal databases where you can read the latest information and literature about IT research. Okay, all access available through your CSU connection once you're a student. No residential school requirements for postgraduate courses, so you don't need to step foot on campus. We'd love to see you, and certainly would like to see you for graduation, but it is kind of nice, I think, to know that you don't necessarily have to be running sort of to Bathurst or Wagga or one of the regional centres. You can do it all online. So that's just a montage of our lecturers, a snapshot of some of them. Some great teachers there. We also have, as I alluded to before, a lot of industry professionals that we use in delivering our subjects. So them combined with the lecturers that we have, I'm sure that you'll find specialists somewhere. There's specialists here in app development, in Python programming, in neural algorithms, in database mining, in IT ethics, in 3D imagery. So there's a specialist somewhere in our collection of lecturers and industry experts, and I think you'll find that your engagement with them as a student will be pleasurable. You've got to do your work, of course, but you know, they're really I think very approachable people, very knowledgeable people. Flexibility is something that I think is very important to people studying by distance and juggling a work and personal life. So just some points I wanted to bring to your attention around flexibility. Many of our courses have common structures and subjects. So that is useful in that if you start a master's of information system security, for example, and midway through you decide that really what you want to do is networking, then there is the opportunity for you to switch midstream and to carry across the common subjects as credit. Certainly I don't advise that as a general rule. If you're going to switch courses, you do that as early as possible, but just keep in mind that there is the opportunity to switch between programs if you find that what you started out with isn't necessarily where you want to end up. Fast tracking is another point worth mentioning. Some of us like to get things done out of the way quickly. I mentioned that on average our courses take 2 years part-time. There's certainly the opportunity for you to fast track, so that 2 years part-time estimate is based on an average study load of 2 subjects per session. So if you want to ramp it up, do 3 subjects in a session, that's okay, that's your prerogative, and as long as you can handle that workload, that's a way of getting your masters finished earlier. Credits, getting credit is another way to fast track, effectively by reducing the length of your course. So I always encourage people, if you do have prior qualifications, prior postgrad qualifications or industry qualifications, please let us know. If you're entitled for credit, it's something that is worth getting, because it may cut down your course length by 1 or 2 subjects. Also possible to slow track. So some of us also try and juggle busy lives with children and family and work and, dare I say it, pleasure. So we're trying to manage all of those things. So sometimes study doesn't fit into that whole portfolio. So you can slow track by reducing the number of subjects you study in a session. You can also take a leave of absence. So every student that enrolls gets a certain number of leaves of absence, and basically you can say, well, look, I'm not studying this session. I want to take the entire session off, no questions asked, restart the next session, continue where you left off, and you get 3 months break from study, 3 or 4 months break from study. So that's another option. Early exit is another possibility. You might start out with a master's, do 4 or 5 subjects, decide that life circumstances have changed, you want to not complete the master's, would be ashamed to waste those subjects. So in some instances we can allow you to graduate with a lower level award. Okay, so flexibility is I think a pretty big thing at CSU. We do like to be flexible within the confines of fairness, but we do like to allow lots of flexibility for our students. So in terms of entry requirements, and these are generic, I haven't applied them to individual courses, but generically we can say the following, that for entry into a graduate certificate or a graduate diploma, you need either a bachelor's degree, it doesn't need to be in the area, so you can have a bachelor's degree in arts and you can get into a grad cert in IT, okay, but that's one entry pathway via a bachelor's. The other one is professional experience. That will vary from course to course. Typically we're looking at 3 or more years, and we're typically looking at more than, you know, data entry style skills. So we're looking at someone who has got some reasonably good IT experience within the industry in order to allow them into the grad cert or diploma based on that professional knowledge. Essentially, you're getting credit for a bachelor's on the basis of your professional knowledge. Okay, so definitely come and see us if you want to ask more about whether your professional knowledge counts for admission into these programs. The master's degree, you do need a bachelor's for the master's or higher. Some courses may also require some level of professional experience. It's not typical though. How do you get in if you've basically done a work placement or a work pathway, a professional pathway? You would go via a grad cert, graduate diploma on the basis of work experience. Then you would move into the master's, because a grad cert or a graduate diploma meets the bachelor's degree or higher entry requirement. Am I eligible? There's lots of ways you can find out whether you're eligible. One is just to apply. Okay, so you can apply for a course online, csu.edu.au/apply. As part of that application process, you'll upload any documents that support your application. Might be a resume, might be transcripts of previous study, it might be industry certifications, and what we'll do is we'll determine whether you're eligible and how much credit you're entitled to, if any. Okay, so that's one way to do it. Another way to do it, if you want to check your eligibility without going through the application process, you can go to itmasters.edu.au, and they have a lovely eligibility form there that you can fill in, which will tell you in advance how much credit you'll get and how much, whether you're eligible or not for entry into the course. So without sort of going through committing to the application process, you can kind of do a trial run. Okay, time to clear the screen and move on to the next slide. So time commitment. How much time you need to devote to this in terms of weekly hours. So all of the masters that we are talking about tonight are offered over 3 sessions per year. So first session February to July, second session, and I'm just sort of roughly guessing here, August to November, third session November to January. So roughly over that period. So 3 sessions per year. You can take subjects in all sessions. Each subject that we offer is designed so that you're engaged in 140 to 160 hours of learning over the duration of the session. That works out to about 10 hours per week, per subject. So you need to keep that in mind. If you're going to do a subject justice, if you're studying 2 subjects a session, as is the recommended load, that's 20 hours per week. If you want to ramp it up and do 4 subjects in a session, you need to keep in mind that's 40 hours a week, so a significant commitment. Credit. I know there's been a few questions on credit in the chat window. Credit may be available, and I need to qualify the first one. It may be available for undergraduate study completed in the IT discipline. That won't be the case from next year, won't be the case from 2015, and it is only the case for the Master of Information Technology, which is a generalist course. So if you do have an undergraduate of IT degree, then if you're looking to maximise credit, the Master of Information Technology course is probably the one that you would go for, and you would need to do that this year. You would need to enrol for this year. Previous postgraduate study, of course, is always eligible. That might include IT study, it might also include business study. So if you've done postgraduate study at some other uni, again, give us your transcript ideally as part of the application process. Industry certification means stuff like CCNA, CCNP, CISSP. All the stuff we spoke about earlier, our subjects are based upon, a number of our subjects are based upon industry certifications. So if we've got a subject in our courses that's based on the CISSP, and you come to us with the CISSP, then we're probably going to give you credit for that subject, as long as your CISSP is within a certain date range. And I'm working from memory here, but I think it needs to be within 5 years. So you can't sort of give us something from 10 years ago and say, I want credit for, you know, configuring Microsoft Windows 2000. So the industry certification has to be relevant. It has to be consistent with what we're offering in our courses, but if you have got it, then by all means ask. Neil McCosh is a great guy for this. He knows all the industry certifications off by heart. He can help you with how much credit you can get for specific industry certifications. We don't give credit for work experience. Okay, so remember that if you have got professional experience, then essentially we're using that as a pathway into these courses, but we don't give credit for experience in the industry. However, in some cases we may allow you to substitute subjects where you've got a lot of experience in a particular area. So no point, for example, making you do Introduction to C# if you're a full-time software developer. Okay, we wouldn't give you credit for that on the basis of your work experience, but we would potentially allow you to swap that subject out for another. So credit can be assessed as part of the application process. You can always contact me if you've got any credit questions. I won't be assessing credit tonight in the questions window. It's something that can take a little bit of time. Neil McCosh, as I mentioned, is also a great guy for answering questions about industry credit. So cost. What's it cost to do these courses? We'll divide it up as a subject, so we're looking at per subject. So the cost in 2014, and all of these courses have one more offering in 2014 in session 3. So I guess one thing you need to keep in mind, I mean it's not a tactic to try and rush you, because in the end you need to be ready, but if you want to take advantage of 2014 prices, you need to enroll in 2014. Okay, so there is a grandfathering arrangement with fees. We can't rule out incremental increases in line with CPI, but the benefit of getting into 2014 with these courses is that your base price is the prices listed there, the 2014 prices. $2,400 per subject for Aussies and New Zealand students, permanent residents, $2,600 per subject for international students. Please keep in mind that textbooks costs are included, so we supply textbooks as part of that cost. You don't need to go out and buy your texts. There may be a small amenities fee on top of those costs per subject. In 2014, that was $34 per subject. It's also worth mentioning that you may be eligible for a loan to help pay your tuition fees through the government called Fee Help. Now, one thing I've mentioned here, check with your accountant. If you're in the industry, you may be eligible for tax deductions on these fees. Okay, you can potentially, and I'm certainly no accountant, but potentially claim these fees against your professional education. So check with your accountant whether the fees are tax deductible if you're within the industry and using it for sort of improving your knowledge. Okay, so they're 2014 fees. 2015 fees, it's issue like everyone, we have price rises. So from next year, prices are going to go up to $2,700 a subject for Australian and New Zealand students. Whoops, $2,900 per subject for international students. Same deal with everything else. Textbooks are included. You can still get access to Fee Help, still potentially tax deductible. Just keep that in mind that if you do enroll in 2015, you're set at a different base price than if you enroll in 2014. Applying. Pretty easy. csu.edu.au/apply, all online. You can upload documents, always recommend you upload your resume, upload any transcripts that you have, upload any industry certifications that you have that you think might be creditable. So session 3 of 2014, the closing date for applications is the 5th of October. So still have a little bit of time to get in for session 3. That session starts on the 17th of November. Okay, runs over Christmas, ends I think late January, early February. So that's session 3. That's sort of starting the course in 2014. 2015, session 1 next year, closing date 30th of November. Typically we would extend the closing date. That's just the closing date that we've published here. So if you are planning session 1, do try and get in by that date, but don't be too forlorn if you miss out. It's possible that that will be extended well beyond 30th of November. Session 1 next year starts on the 2nd of March. Okay, more info. General inquiries, any broad general inquiries about administrative matters, Fee Help, you can direct to Sandra at the contact centre. There's a 1300 number there for within Australia. Outside Australia, 612-633-86077, inquiry@csu.edu.au. For IT Masters specific inquiries, particularly related to credit and eligibility for the courses, you can direct those to Neil McCosh, neil.mccosh@itmasters.edu.au. For any other inquiries, academic inquiries, or if you just don't know who to turn to, always happy to hear from students and potential students. Please either phone me or email me, jhowarth@csu.edu.au. And once again, there's no silly question, only the unasked one. So please, if you have any questions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to email me. Always too happy to help out. So look, I also have to go briefly to another webinar presentation. For my sins, I have 3 webinars tonight. So I've got one at 8:30 that I need to be in. Thank you so much for coming along tonight. Really appreciate your attendance. Hopefully we've been able to answer some of your questions and engage your interest in some of our courses. I know that Neil and Sandra are still answering a few questions in the question box, so I'll leave that open for a little while. Thanks once again for turning up, and hope to see you soon. Thanks and good night.